Good evening and welcome to K2's first evening edition. In the news today, New Hampshire Senator John Durkin says he's got the votes to push through an amendment to the Senate version of H.R. 39 to increase federal wilderness in Alaska to 86 million acres. That's about 20 million acres more than was approved in the controversial bill passed by the House last spring. The D2 Steering Council reports late today that Senator Mike Gravel believes Durkin isn't bluffing when he says he has 21 co-sponsors of the amendment, and according to Gravel, that's just another reason why the bill shouldn't hit the Senate floor this year. A letter to the three firms vying for the contract to continue the state's satellite TV project went out from the Governor's Office of Telecommunications here in Juneau today. The letters asked that RCA Alascom, the Don Wold Company, and ASRC Communications clarify what the state says are unsatisfactory bids, and that a request for secrecy by RCA and the Wold Company be lifted. KTOO volunteer reporter Joe Sonneman talked with OT Deputy Director Dick Dowling today and filed this report.
RCA now brings satellite TV to Alaska, but the company's contract has expired, so it now has temporary operating authority only. RCA, Wold, and ASRC Communications are each bidding for a new contract, but two of the companies have requested confidential bidding procedures.
Dick Dowling is here, the Deputy Director of the Governor's Office of Telecommunications. Could you tell us about the confidential procedures request?
Well, both Robert Wold Company and RCA asked that their proposals be held as proprietary and confidential, and we're honoring that for now. We're asking both of them to rescind that requirement so that we can bring the users in who will be affected by the ultimate decision on this contract. And
what is the difference between the original proposal set forth by the legislature with $13 million and the current proposal with only $2.7?
House Bill 908, as originally proposed and ultimately passed out, would deliver television to all locations in the state of 25 people or more. That comes to about 176 locations. The current level of funding is $2.7 million, and that will provide the same level of service that we're delivering now to 5 urban locations for interstate live news and sports type programming, and 23 bush villages to receive intra-state entertainment and as well as educational and instructional material. And we'll add 11 new locations that are of the regional center type: Barrow, Kotzebue, Nome, Dillingham, Cordova, and southeast Haines, Ketchikan, Wrangell, Petersburg.
Would you like to comment on the AP report? The question of confidentiality was reported in the press, and I think you had some different impressions from what they reported.
We feel that we need more detail, and we're asking for that at this point.
But you have not really rejected the bids?
By no means have we rejected anyone's bid.
Okay, you're just asking for open and public procedures, is that right?
We're asking for that as well as for more detail.
Okay, Dick Dowling, thank you very much.
Here in the rain and wind outside the State Office building, this is Joe Sonneman for KTOO-TV.
Superior Court Judge Ralph Moody decided today not to count those 260 ballots found in a drawer in the Anchorage Elections Office 2 weeks ago. Moody's decision came today as hearings opened in Anchorage on whether or not to throw out the entire primary election. Moody says he will make a final decision on those controversial ballots only after he makes his decision on the entire primary. The hearings opened today with Attorney General Avram Gross admitting that some technical elections violations did occur, but he said they did not affect the election outcome. Gross maintained that attorneys for Wally Hickel and Ed Mertes have given up their charges of fraudulent election conduct and says the issues are now legal ones. In a surprise move today, gubernatorial candidate Chancey Crofts says he's changed his mind on the Frank Initiative and will vote for it in November. He said he talked with initiative backers and is now convinced that technical difficulties can be solved by the legislature. If an amendment clarifying the definition of bondable costs to mean the costs of actually physically moving the capital can be added, as Crofts says he's been assured can, then he no longer sees any problems with the initiative. The Frank Initiative will appear on the November ballot and if passed would require that Alaskans know and approve all bondable costs before the capital move can begin. The 19th annual convention of the Alaska State Chamber of Commerce came to a close in Sitka over the weekend with about 250 delegates attending. John Kelsey of Valdez was named Outstanding Alaskan of the Year for his work in rebuilding the Valdez Dock Company destroyed by fire in the 1964 earthquake. The president of the State Chamber, Don Dickey, reported this morning that the group also finalized plans for a business education program they will be offering to Alaskan students this spring. Dickey also commented that the convention was a forum for everything from the D2 issue to a discussion about California's Proposition 13. Gubernatorial candidates Tom Kelly and Jay Hammond addressed the delegates, and Lieutenant Governor candidate Katie Hurley filled in for running mate Chancey Croft. I asked Don Dickey if the convention was a gauge for the health of Alaskan businesses.
I think one of the biggest things when we opened the State Chamber in 1960 still continues. I think we've made some inroads, but that's the distance and the, call it sectionalism, regionalism, and I think the biggest function we perform, and it's never completely resolved, is try to bring them together and find out that the problems that affect the fellow in the interior are pretty much like the ones in Southeastern. And while we have differences and variations in shades and degrees, that the pretty much what affects one affects all. And to the D2s, for instance, are always on their mind, because until the settlement of the land issue, many of the, be it mining, timber, petroleum, even fishing, are pretty much a question mark. So I guess the greatest thing that happens is an opportunity to come together, share common problems, and also to, I think, to hear what we felt were some of the top speakers in their particular field. So.
But because of that regionalism, does that mean that the business climate is poor?
No, I don't think so. I think a rivalry, which has always existed, be it a Ketchikan to Juneau or whatever, is a healthy thing. And we rotate our conventions around so that our own board, who's from all over the state, this is, for instance, the first time to Sitka. And there's been many changes with the 2 new hotels, the convention center. But now when a discussion comes up about an issue that affects Sitka, our people aren't sitting in Anchorage or down in Delta trying to decide, and never having seen the community. Most of them have been there.
President of the State Chamber of Commerce, Juneauite Don Dickey. Today was the opening of the Alaska Positive exhibit at the Alaska State Museum here in Juneau. Volunteer reporter John Wilson was there and has this report.
Every year, the Alaska State Council of the Arts, in cooperation with the Alaska State Museum, ask photographers to collect the very best of their Alaskan photographs and submit them to be judged as part of the Alaska Positive exhibit. Judging was completed before the formal opening of the exhibit today, when the State Museum opened its doors at 9 o'clock. Engelbert Gerdes of San Francisco was this year's juror, and she chose Seascape, a photograph of Jay Larson's, as the best of the color photographs. Northern Geometry number 2, photographed by Brian Allen, was selected as the best of black and white. For the next 30 days, these prize winners, along with 35 other entries, will be on display during the regular museum hours. The winners are nestled among a series of photographs, black and white and color, which are impressive enough to confuse one as to why certain photographs were picked over others. With the notable exception of the selection picked as Best of the Show, Perry Atkinson's Spirit Rising. For KTOO News, this is John Wilson reporting from the Alaska State Museum.
Thanks, John. Each evening, right after the news, we'll be bringing you a sports report, put together and announced by volunteer sportscasters, each with their own style and way of looking at local, state, and national sports. We will also be incorporating into the week, on a regular basis, a hunting and fishing report. That all begins to a limited extent this week and full swing next week. So there is still opportunity to volunteer for sports reporting. Let us know if you're interested. Tonight, volunteer Morgan Basil reports on the punt, pass, and kick competition held over the weekend.
Hello, Morgan Basil here for KTOO-TV in Juneau. We are here at Sandy Beach with about 43 youngsters who are participating in the Ford Dealers of America 18th Annual Punt, Pass, and Kick competition. This is Juneau's second year of involvement. Punt, Pass, and Kick began in 1961. Since then, thousands of boys and girls all over the United States have moved through the different levels of competition. Parks and Recreation Department has held 2 learning clinics to help kids get ready for today's competition. This competition is for kids 8 through 13 years of age. The 6 different age groups will punt, pass, and kick the football for distance as well as accuracy. Officials will measure how far the ball travels on the fly. not where it rolls. They will also measure how far the ball lands from the center line. The score will be the total distance minus the distance off target. Winners are determined by the total score of all 3 categories of competition. Trophies will be awarded for first, second, and third place in each age group.
Now the awards are going to be presented at the bleachers behind the backstop over there, okay? You'll meet down there. Thank you.
And the winner's score of this local competition will be sent to Seattle, where they will be checked against other scores from all over Alaska.
First place award in the 8-year-old class, Mike Smatlin. Smatlin. Well, help me out, Kenny, because I can't pronounce it. Where's Smatlin? Right there.
All right, Mike.
Second place, Kurt Goldbach.
Right.
Third place, Derek Duncan.
Oh, yes, Derek.
And district winners will be announced and will compete again, with some youngsters eventually going to the Super Bowl on January 7th to compete on a national level. Hopefully, we will have a Juneau youngster there. This has been Morgan Basil for KTOO-TV in Juneau with a punt, pass, and kick competition.
Thanks, Morgan. And now for the weather, here's Steve Nelson.
Thanks, Betsy. You've probably noticed it's raining, and there's a very good reason for that, which I'll explain in a moment. First of all, let's take a look at temperatures and conditions around the state. Nothing much to report in the way of clear weather. It was basically overcast all over the entire state. Temperatures ran like this. At the top of the world, Barrow was 14 degrees at last report, which was about 5:30. Kotzebue reached a high of 30 degrees. In Fairbanks, it was 44. Anchorage had a temperature of 47. And moving down to the Panhandle, Yakutat was 44 degrees. Haines-Skagway area was basically the same, 43. Hoona was 40 degrees. In Sitka, the temperature was 47. And in Ketchikan, it was also 47. Wrangell had a temperature of 44 degrees, and we had no report from Petersburg then. And Juneau, at last report, and you can look outside and check this, but it's 40 degrees and raining if you don't believe me. Now, we'll take a quick look at our surface map, which will explain a little further why this is going on. Basically, what we've got is a low-pressure area that is sitting right out here, and in a case of a low-pressure area, the air around it moves in a counterclockwise direction. What this is doing is bringing cold air from the sea here down into the Gulf Coast, which is mixing with the warmer air, or actually the warmer temperature of the water. Now, when this happens, the warmer air rises, since warm always rises and cold drops. So the warm air is rising up into the atmosphere, and it reaches what you call a dew point, and then turns into rain and falls. So all week we've been having front after front move in like this, since this low pressure has been sitting basically here. So this front here will be bringing us, and has been bringing us, our lousy weather all day, and we'll move through here, and we'll be here in the interior of the Yukon by tomorrow about, or actually by this evening, by about 8 o'clock, and then, so it'll already have moved past by the time you hear this. That means, in plain talk, that what's going to happen is the hard rain we've been having will subside and turn into showers. So I looked at the 5-day forecast over at the National Weather Service, and they say this pattern is going to continue pretty much. The low will drift a little bit down this way, which won't change things too much. We'll have a northerly flow, which means the cold air from up north will be still coming down and across like this. That means that we will be having cool, showery weather, pretty much. And the snow line will be dropping up in the mountains, if you notice. So let's take a look at the forecast right now for the Juneau and vicinity. And you can see it's windy with some rain showers tonight and Tuesday, with southeast winds about 25 miles per hour, gusting up to 35, and as I said, they will be diminishing as that front moves through the Panhandle. The low tonight will be 40 degrees or so, and high tomorrow will be in the mid-40s, the low tomorrow night, in the upper 40s, and the outlook for Wednesday calls for showers. That's a look at the weather for this evening. Betsy, back to you.
Thanks, Steve. That's it for this first portion of the evening edition. Stay tuned next for FYI, a time each night when we'll take a closer look at an issue or event affecting Juneau and Alaska, as well as bringing you news features from other public television stations in the United States, Canada, and around the world. Tonight, Elaine Mitchell fills us in on upcoming Southeast land auctions.
Alaskans want land. That's the message of the Homestead Initiative, which has forced state government to offer the public more land. Here, Andy Pekovich of the Southeast District of the Division of Forest, Land, and Water Management talks about upcoming land sales.
Lands, of course, is getting to be a more sophisticated project, but right now of immediate importance are 4 land sales which are coming up in Southeast in October. 3 of them on October 17th, one to be held in Ketchikan, one in Myerschuck, and the other one in Point Baker. And those sales will be held in those particular areas. Ketchikan sale will entail 5 lots out of the Hyder area, which is in the same recording district. We also have on October 20th of this year a sale of 7 units in Elfin Cove.
Now, you used 2 different terms there, and please explain for me. In Ketchikan, you said lots. In Elfin Cove, you said units.
I refer to Elfin Cove because I was sure of the units. In Elfin Cove, there is 1 lot with 3, or 1 unit with 3 lots.
I see.
Now, the unit is actually the designation that the Division of Lands gives a particular parcel or lot in the auction brochure.
So there's no, for someone who is seeking information, there is a difference between the term lots and the term unit?
There certainly is.
Okay. Now, all this fairly complicated information is available at your office, is that right?
Yes, it's available either by calling 465-2415 in Juneau, and we'll be glad to mail out the brochure, or by writing Pouch M, Juneau, zip code 99811, Division of Forest, Land, and Water Management.
There's another question that I have. We have, many of us, seen the ad in the paper for computerized fill-out for Alaska state land programs, and filled it out. You know, wow, send it in right away to Box 1000 in Anchorage. And then I did, sat back and waited for the mail to pour in with all the information about the land sales. This apparently, this computerized mail-out program does not include information, I gather, on these October 78 sales in Southeast.
That is true. This information was, rather than an application for people to fill out, was more a survey. It was established, and a consultant in the Anchorage office is doing for us. It was established in order to let a person know, basically on the outcome of the questions that he answers, whether he would be eligible for various programs.
I see.
Now, and in turn, by the number of people that filled this out, and I forget what the exact number was, but it was a great deal, it would give the Division of Land some idea of how many people are eligible in the state for certain programs.
Under the existing program, sale program.
Right.
Okay. Someone told me the other day that they were receiving somewhere from around 700 of these fill-out things per day in Anchorage. So this is, although concerned with Alaska lands, the important thing for the southeastern people are these 3 sales coming up.
I might add more on this and of course the longevity discount system, the different types of state programs which are open to entry, home site, public auctions, and that we have been requested by the community college to furnish personnel from the Anchorage office, and hopefully that is tentatively scheduled for the evening of the 10th at the community college building here in Juneau. And we hope to have personnel down to talk to anybody that would like to come to that meeting on the different land programs and hopefully clarify some of them.
So that would be under discussion on that would be these 6 items, I suppose, on this ad: the auction, the home site, open to entry, lottery, the discount, and the veterans preference.
That's right.
Do all of those 6 items apply? You already went into detail on the veterans preference on the Southeast sales. And this is an auction.
This is a public auction.
We've got a couple, and discount. Does discount
The discount
count?
applies,
Okay.
providing the individual is eligible.
Okay, so we've got the individual who has become interested through the various ads in the paper and one thing and another. We come to your office and we get all the information. Then we must be there at the auction in which we are interested in person on the day of the auction.
You have to be
Or an
at the auction or an agent, and the agent, if he is an agent, should have at least a letter which hopefully would be witnessed, which would lay out what he is essentially authorized to do in behalf. Now, one thing on the longevity discount is the agent should have with him, if he's acting for an agent, enough data on the person's personal history.
The person for whom he is acting.
That should they choose to apply for the longevity discount, that is done at the auction. And it can be done after that, but hopefully it will be done at the auction. The person has 20 days then to furnish evidence of his residency. And so they should be prepared to do that.
Now, the other thing, the person participating, wanting to buy one of those rare lots or units, is bring money, right?
Right. You have to bring at least 10%.
And do you take personal checks?
We take personal checks, cashier's checks, etc. However, if the personal check bounces, so does the person's contract.
And if things, there is some arrangement, I think I read in one of these brochures, if, for example, the personal check bounces, the contract bounces, then the state still owns that particular unit, and then there's an over-the-counter sale?
Well, I believe
leftovers?
that we retain the right to award it to the second-hand bidder.
I see. Okay. Is there anything else that I should know when I come to the to the auction?
Well, I think basically that about covers it as well as we can in the time.
But the meeting on October 10th would answer any more questions that might come to my mind or anyone else's mind after.
Should be more
this
detailed.
For your information, Elaine Mitchell from the Division of Forest and Land and Water Management, Southeast District, Masonic Temple, Juneau.
Thanks, Elaine. Next up is what we are calling Commonwealth, the way we close the evening edition and the way we provide another chance for you to become directly involved in the show. Each Commonwealth will be different, but regularly scheduled. Monday nights will bring you Soapbox, and at the Soapbox tonight is Juneau resident John Corso.
Hello, welcome to Soapbox. This show is new, but it has a distinguished tradition behind it. People with firm opinions and loud voices have been climbing on soapboxes for a long time. They're usually ordinary people, or they wouldn't be using a soapbox. They could convene Parliament or take over a newspaper. Since soapboxers can't do that, they are sometimes ignored. Sometimes, though, they start riots. They've been known to start revolutions. You probably have the makings of a good soapbox speaker. If you've ever been upset by a common problem or had the solution to it, if you've ever disagreed with a public official or felt him or her to be a bozo, then you have the makings of a revolutionary. It's a romantic prospect, at least, and if you won the revolution, you could sentence the phone company to death. If you want to whip up a really satisfying revolution, though, or even start a good public argument, you have to have a good soapbox. It has to be accessible so you and your audience can get to it, and it has to be properly set up so it's easy to use. For some time now, KTOO Radio has been providing the people of Juneau with an accessible and professional platform from which to speak. Now you're getting another one, this show. Every night on Evening Edition, 5 minutes will be set aside for guest speakers from the community. The format will be slightly different each night of the week, and one night is for opinion, anybody's opinion. That's Soapbox. If you have a beef or a brilliant insight, or if you're just mad as hell and not going to take it anymore, do it here. It's not all that difficult. The people here are supportive and professional. They'll help you out. You don't have to have any experience. You don't even have to dress up unless you want to. All you really have to be is honest and coherent. Anybody can be honest, and if Paul Harvey can be coherent, so can you. The mechanics are simple. Just call Cynthia Halterman at 586-1670 and tell her you'd like to be on Soapbox. She'll take care of all the arrangements. All you have to do is show up at the studio, stand behind this podium, and speak your piece. This segment is on videotape, so if you make a mistake, you can start over again. Also, you can go home and watch yourself on TV. There are worse things. Now, you might think that you have nothing to say, but that's not very likely. You probably have an opinion on outsiders meddling in Alaskan affairs, or maybe you're tired of insiders running the state. Should Alaska conserve its resources or develop them? Should the capital stay where it is or stay where it is? The world is full of incredible things to comment on. I'm sure that somebody in Juneau has an opinion on politics, or fish, or fisheries politics, or somebody who needs to have you hoot at them. We all need to hear you hoot. We need to because you're probably interesting and because it's good for us. Soapbox speaking, whether it's in the park or on television, needs to be kept alive, but it's suffering a worldwide decline. Many governments have found it to be inconvenient. We're lucky. Free speech is healthy here. It brought us Malcolm X and Anita Bryant. It brought Lady Chatterley's lover to New York, it brought the Nazis to Skokie, and it brought Alexander Solzhenitsyn to Vermont. It can do all that, but it can't do a thing for you unless you exercise it. Your opportunity to do so is unique. Right now, Juneau is the fulcrum of many forces, and K2 wants you to talk about them. History is calling. You'll have a tough audience. The people of Juneau have a higher median educational level than San Francisco or Los Angeles, but you ought to accept the challenge. That way, when your children ask you, "And what did you do when they were deciding about Alaska?" you won't have to say, "Well, I was shoveling snow out in the valley." This is a good time to get into the act. K2-TV has been on for a week. The news is just starting. Summer is over, the fish ain't jumping, and the cotton is low. Tour ships are gone, and Juneau is for Juneauites. So is Soapbox. If you have something to say, don't stay at home. Come on down to the station. Don't hoot at your television set. Hoot from it. Better for you, better for all of us.
Thanks, John. And thank you for joining us for K2's first evening edition. We'll be back tomorrow and every weeknight. For the Monday edition, good night.